Hello world! Today we're going to talk about what is Andrew Yang's freedom dividend. My name is Lian Niu, a hard sci-fi author. My novellas, The Cyto Trigger, is available on the Amazon bookstore, link below. With the Democratic debate coming up on the 27th of June, I made a primer for the freedom dividend, the flagship position of presidential candidate Andrew Yang, to answer some of the most common questions. First question, how can the government pay for the freedom dividend, or can we afford to implement it? Aside from what Andrew Yang said, the freedom dividend can be paid for no matter what. First of all, anyone who thinks US cannot pay for the freedom dividend, like many conservative politicians and pundits, most who taught fiscal responsibility, they believe that running a federal government is like running a household where you can only spend as much as you earn, which means that either they are grossly uninformed or intellectually lazy. I think most are just uninformed. Just think about this fact. The federal government can print money. Can a household print money? With that in mind, the federal government can pay for the freedom dividend, period, simply by printing more money. And the obvious follow-up outrage is, you can't possibly print money without consequences. Something bad might happen, like the world ending or something. And that's right. The problem with overprinting money is inflation, and in Milton Friedman's words, inflation is a tax that no one can avoid and no one voted for. And hyperinflation is uncontrolled form of inflation that every socialist country and socialist policies end up with. It's where bread ends up to be $1 million a loaf. So an observant person would say the freedom dividend will cause hyperinflation. Well, that is the reason why the freedom dividend is tied to a VAT, a value-added tax. The VAT will keep the inflation in check. And the VAT is a consumption tax which disproportionately affects the rich. Now, how do I prove that it affects the rich? Well, just imagine a 10% tax on Ferrari versus a Honda. And unlike corporate taxes, VAT is very difficult to avoid. So Amazon, who pays no corporate income taxes, has to pay its fair share of VAT. So then what's the point of giving people money then tax it away with a VAT? Well, VAT, like I said, is a consumption tax. So if you have a lot of money to spend and consumes a lot, well, you gotta pay your fair share of VAT. If a rich person spends $120,000 a year, he will pay $12,000 a year in VAT. If you are living on freedom dividend alone and you spend that $12,000 a year that you get, you will only be paying $1,200 a year. It's a consumption tax. You consume, you pay. If you don't consume, if you have less to spend, you pay less. Well, if I get $12,000 a year, then I wouldn't have to work. Some might said, sure, if you don't want to work, you don't have to. But you will have to move somewhere where the cost of living is less than $12,000 a year. This will alleviate crowding in the cities and help develop rural regions. I think that's a great idea. And I don't see any problem with that. In fact, I hope it will rekindle some of the American pioneering spirit that it had. And no, you wouldn't be able to live on $12,000 alone without a job in any metropolitan area. So that's definitely out of the question. Well then, I want more than $1,000 a month, some might said. Well, you can, as long as productivity and the VAT keep up with the increase in money supply. You can increase the freedom dividend up to $10,000 or more a month and it will still work. Though, until we're in the post-scarcity society, we should keep it below the poverty line. So the freedom dividend wouldn't disincentivize people from being productive, because the productivity of the nation has to keep up with the demand created by the freedom dividend. Or else we'll get a really bad case of hyperinflation. Wait, do I hear a contradiction? An observant person might say. The freedom dividend needs the productivity to meet the demand created by the freedom dividend, yet it does not incentivize people to work. So the freedom dividend wouldn't work anyway because it causes hyperinflation. Well, if that's what you believe, then you are mixing up productivity with work. Even though normally the more a person works, the more productive the person is. However, that's not true when it comes to automation, which can mass produce products faster and more efficiently than any group of humans. In fact, replacing machines with humans in some type of work would devastate the productivity of vital industry like silicon chip production. And this gets to the core reason why Andrew Yang and the rest of the Yang gang is gunning for the freedom dividends. Ask yourself this: who gets the wealth generated by automation? The machine? Of course not. It is the company and the people who owns the machine that gets the wealth. And the concentration of wealth will skew towards the people who can leverage automation, and the people who can't will get left behind. This is where learn to code is no longer a meme on the internet, but the reality. So the freedom dividend can work, will work, and in fact, it has to work. And the Andrew Yang is the man who can make it work for the millions of Americans who are disenfranchised by automation. And that's my rant. Thank you very much for listening. Please help spread the word because the Democratic debate is coming up on the 27th of June, and people can benefit from a primer on the freedom dividend. And that's all, world.